Ultimately, what a child wants is human interaction, because that's the most stimulating. That's what their nature is really craving. But when they're distracted by technology, guess what? They'll find other humans on technology that will entertain them.
If you have a child that you've unfortunately overstimulated already,
Yes.
like mine, so they come home from school and the minute they drop their bags, they run to the iPad and pick it up, and I'm like, no, man, do something else. But I'm bored. So how do you, now you've given it the sugar, and now they don't want the broccoli, because who wants broccoli when you have a chocolate bar?
Right.
So how do you unravel a child naturally to understimulate them, or to get them to be okay with less stimulus?
I think you might have to go for quality, and it's not so easy because it's going to require an adult interacting with a child.
Get it?
Ultimately, what a child wants is human interaction, because that's the most stimulating. That's what their nature is really craving. But when they're distracted by technology, guess what? They'll find other humans on technology that will entertain them. So they need human interaction, because this is what gives them the knowledge of the life that they're living. What does it mean to be here? They don't know. So only by looking at other adults and looking at what's out there, they start learning about life. So they're very curious. They really want to know, but they don't realize how influential every single line that goes into that brain is going to be on the future of this trajectory of what's going to happen to this child. But ultimately, the most important point to remember in such a situation is, don't ruin your relationship with the child. Regardless of what needs to happen, it does need to happen, your relationship with the child is more important than any of that. If you stimulate the neshama, it will grow and it will become intelligent. But if you don't stimulate it, then it's going to stay dumb, because it doesn't have a reason to want to live. It can't develop the chayas. And this is what we need to learn, is how do you stimulate those little hearts and those little brains to feel the appropriate emotions and experience life from an angle that gives them a lot of access to consciousness. Because then, as they grow, they'll just be that. They won't have to work on it so hard. Stimulating them is by giving them things that speaks to their nature, that makes them see that life is worth living. So every time we shut them down, we're taking away their chayas. Every time we give them the ability to interact with life in a pleasurable way, we're giving them more chayas. It's very similar to an adult, but an adult is already more dried up, harder to please. Children are very adventurous. They want to know, they want to learn, they're interested. So it's presenting the right opportunities where they don't get hurt. And that's a big statement, because if we don't know enough about human nature, we don't know what doesn't hurt them. Sometimes, let's say, we'll say, okay, let them watch something, let them do something that seems entertaining, stimulating, but at the same time, the information going into the brain might be not so clean, not so harmless. So it's ultimately the proper stimulation is what allows them to grow, what allows them to become what they were supposed to be. And this depends a lot on the society. How important are human beings in the society that we live in?